I have my cup of green Rooibos. I hope you're having a wonderful day. If you are interested in buying any tea, we get our favorite tea from South Africa, where Scott is from, and we sell it on our website. So all Rooibos is from South Africa, and it is so good. It's so good for you. There's so many health benefits. So we sell the red Rooibos and we sell green Rooibos. And green Rooibos to me is very similar to green tea, except without the caffeine, and it doesn't have that bitter aftertaste that green tea has. I love it with honey. The red Rooibos I like with honey also, and milk. And then you can also make all types of different flavored combinations with Rooibos, which is really fun. So you can do chamomile Rooibos or peppermint Rooibos. One of my favorite ones with the green tea is holy basil. We grew in our garden last year. I combine it with the green Rooibos and it is so good, and the basil complements the green Rooibos flavor so well, so that's also really good and very beneficial. You can go to my website, Home with Kelly, and I sell 4-ounce bags and 8-ounce bags, and the 8-ounce bags are huge. It will last you a very long time. It is a lot of tea. Today I'm talking about why I deleted my Instagram. So I actually had been considering deleting Instagram for pretty much all of the fall. I just had that feeling of a distaste towards it, which was unique to me because in the past I've always really enjoyed social media. In 2017, I remember taking a long break from it and really enjoying it. I came back to social media with the frame of hoping to encourage people and to give a positive vision. We are in a world where there's so much negative stuff, so much evil stuff. I mean, our young girls are pushed into the cultural flow of feminism, liberalism, and that's just the direction they're going, and that's all that they see. So my hopes with social media was to give an alternative, that there is a better way. Following God's ways is always better. It's not always easier, but it is always better. And so that was my mindset with using social media. And Scott and I have been very intentional with how we've used social media, and our goal is always to use it in a way that encourages and to get off of social media into real life. So for the past 2 years when we were in Indiana, we were able to meet so many of you that we had connected with online. It's been a huge blessing. And so that has always been our context with using social media, is connecting in real life. Like, it's a good thing, it's a tool. Then in the fall, when I started feeling this icky feeling towards Instagram, I was like, well, this is something for me to pay attention to, because I have not had that. Normally, if you've seen any of our other videos about social media, we're like, use it in a way that's good for you. It doesn't have to be all of the negative that people say it is. It can be used as a tool for the good if that is your intention with it. Once Reels hit Instagram, it was this weird tension of the only way for your account to grow is if you create Reels. But then there's this icky feeling I have with Reels because it steals your attention. I mean, you have 15 seconds to a minute to watch this thing. Everything's happening really fast. You're scrolling, and I don't know, I just didn't like it. And then I listened to this podcast on the art of manliness. It was the Off-Grid episode with Gary Collins. That whole episode is really good, but the last 5 to 10 minutes of it, he is talking about why he's not on any of the social media platforms. It was really good. Everything he said was really good, and it really resonated with what I was feeling at the time, but I also didn't have total peace just to get off of it. So, because there is good from it. If you're using it in a way that it inspires you, you're encouraged, you're connecting with people that are inspiring and encouraging, that's really good. If you're using it to distract yourself or to compare and watch people you don't like. Like, that's never a good way to use social media, and you'll never reap the benefits of it. But midway through December, a lot was going on. We were going to go home for the holidays, and I had so much that I needed to get done that I was like, I do not want Instagram to be a distraction. I have things that I need to do. So one day, just randomly on a whim, I just deleted it. It wasn't planned. It wasn't really thought through. It was just like, oh, it's a week before Christmas. I'm going to delete this, and that way I can just be focused on Christmas and family, and then we'll see what happens after Christmas. And then we got back home after Christmas. I realized that I didn't miss it at all, which was kind of surprising for me. I thought that I would be tempted to grab my phone and want to get on Instagram, but that was never the case. I had no desire to get back on Instagram, and I was like, well, this is really interesting. And then I also noticed my attention span improving. I thought that I was pretty disciplined with my Instagram. I was maybe on it 30 minutes a day, sometimes longer if I was responding to messages or if I was making a post or something. But there is this weird thing with Instagram where when you're in it, you are all in it. And it is so easy to keep scrolling through stories, to keep looking at reels and going down rabbit holes of distraction. And even to the point where if you're trying to do something, like I was knitting, and there would be times where I'm knitting and all of a sudden I just grab my phone and get on Instagram. And it's like, why did I do that? Why couldn't I just sit and focus on knitting or whatever else I was doing? And since deleting it, I am so much better at focusing on a project and getting it done without feeling the need to go and interrupt myself by getting on Instagram for no reason, just to look at things. So I don't have any like rules on this. I don't know, I could get back on tomorrow and I don't have any values issue with it. I think I just really like not being on it, and it's been really nice. And that being said, it is like there are some of you that I really enjoy connecting with over Instagram. So it's figuring out those things, but I think taking a break is always good, especially noticing the benefits of taking the break. And all of this, I think, really depends on whatever season that you're in. When we were at our old house, we did not have much community. It was very hard to make friends there. And so Instagram was a huge blessing in that season because I was able to connect with so many of you guys. I used Instagram as a tool to make friends. I was able to meet so many of you that I would have never met otherwise if it wasn't for Instagram. And so that was a huge blessing. Then once we moved, we have experienced kind of the polar opposite of where we were. This shift happened in me of I don't have the capacity to do the online stuff and sustain the real life community that we have. There are levels of priority, and we've said in other videos, our way of distinguishing that is home, local, tribal. And by that, home is me being a wife, a helper to Scott. What can I do to help my husband? What can I do to create a beautiful home, a peaceful home? And if you have children, that also means being present with your children and available and training them in the way that they should go. And so home is always the first priority. And then next is your local area. So the context of where you live, that involves your church community, your husband's connections with work, and whatever else that might be locally for you, making sure that you are intentional with the people around you. You're being hospitable, and that requires a lot of time and attention and money, especially if you're hosting people at your house or having potlucks. So that is the second priority. And then next is tribal. And we describe tribal as people who share our values, but they're just not in our context. A lot of you guys we've connected with, you live all the way around the world. So we can't have lunch with you or go get coffee with you. And so we do connect over social media and over email. And that is a huge blessing, especially if you're in an area where you do feel lonely or alone. Having the online community, it's a huge blessing. And so that's what I've just been trying to navigate, is how to order those and make priorities and be intentional with those areas. To be able to connect with people in real life, I had one of you, we connected over Instagram and happened to live an hour from each other. So we would meet halfway and get coffee, and it was so fun and so encouraging, and we would have never met if it wasn't for Instagram. But the big thing with that is using it as a tool to then get offline, not just scroll. If you're just sitting at home and scrolling and not interacting with people, then Instagram is a discouraging place. It's easy to compare and compete and distract and numb yourself. And so I think just being intentional with how you use Instagram, if you're going to use it. I have also not been on my Facebook, and there was an auction place that I was trying to figure out when they were open, and their only website was Facebook. So I logged back into my Facebook to get on this auction website, and after I looked at the auctions page, I then clicked my homepage. And within 30 seconds of me scrolling my homepage, I felt this like overwhelm, because it was like terrible news, amazing news, debates, theological debates. We were never meant to consume this much information. It's not good to consume this much information. That's kind of what happens with social media, is you're taking in everyone's problems, burdens, good news, bad news, whether you like it or not. If you're scrolling, you're gonna see it, and that's not always a good thing. We were never meant to carry that much information that we can do absolutely nothing with. So that's something to be aware of. If you're using social media, is it actually good for you to be filled with that much access to people's lives? I don't know. So yeah, I just thought I would share with you my experience of being off Instagram, how I've very much enjoyed it to the point where I have no desire to get back on at the moment, but like I said, we'll see. That's all I have for you today. Reminder, if you want any tea, I have our website linked below. God bless.